In this week's video we discover a problem in our little pump house. I spend a lot of time walking in hard snowy conditions, and we take delivery of a ton of logs which need to be stacked in the log shed. But first, when 2024 started we had no idea what lay ahead. Through a twist of fate and travelling for over 2 years, we would end up appearing on Escape to the Country, finding our dream home in the Highlands and moving in just in time to host family for Christmas. Oh, by the way, we are Kath, Sue and Fudge, so why not come along and see what 2025 has in store? As I say goodbye to Sue, who's off to visit her mum for a couple of days, I take a call delaying our log delivery due to the snow. But little did I know what challenges lay ahead. Good morning, folks. Right, well, it's still dark outside at the moment, and today the plan is for Fudge and I to walk over to Glenmore. Sue's still away, but she's coming back today, and she'll either pick me up in Glenmore or Aviemore, or maybe even closer to home. Depends how far I get and how that corresponds with her timing. But we have a bit of a problem this morning. The temperatures are really low here, and we have no water. Now the water, it's a private water supply, it's a very deep well, and all the pipes into the house come up through into the centre of the house. So I don't know whether it's just we've got the water's frozen somewhere along that route, or whether the pumps failed. I don't know yet. So I have got a cup of tea. Last weekend when Sue did the run, we bought some bottled water to put in the motorhome, and we didn't use it all. So thankfully I do have a couple of bottles of bottled water, which will get us, certainly Fudge and I will have some water for our expedition today. The terrain I think today will be more challenging than it's been before, just because of the deep snow. But don't worry, I will be taking plenty of extra layers just in case. I will have some emergency provisions in my bag. Sue knows where I'm going and she knows exactly the route that I'm going to take. I'll have my mobile phone with me. There is a signal for most of that journey, so I think I'm going to be okay. But you know, life's about taking some risks, isn't it? Sensible risks. Obviously I wouldn't want to go up in the mountains on a day like today. I know I'm waffling a bit, but this week Mountain Rescue have been called out twice. I think it was twice in the same night, to help people who'd got into difficulties in the mountains. I think I've said it before, if you have a few spare pennies, think about Mountain Rescue as one of the charities that you might donate to, just in case they have to get me. No, for everybody that they have to get. So it's cold now, so I might only get limited bits of video as we go, but I'm so looking forward to this. I'm walking to Glenmore through the pass and ultimately along the old logging way. We are about a mile and a half into the walk now, and we're at the little burn. It's frozen over in several places. Now I know it's not too deep because I was up here yesterday and it wasn't frozen and I was able to get through it, but I am going to have to break the ice with my pole. And after this point, this is when the walking will get more challenging, because I suspect not many people will have walked past this point, and probably for the next 4 or 5 miles I may be the only person that's been on the tracks for most of that time. So I'm anticipating walking in fairly deep snow in these cold conditions. But it is just cold, it's not windy, it's not snowing, the forecast is good, so we should be okay. Well, I did get across the frozen burn. It was deeper than I thought. I mean, I was really, really careful, but at least one of my feet is now wet. And I thought that was probably a good time to stop and tell you about what I'm wearing. First of all, on my feet, I've got some Mountaineer merino wool socks. So even if they get wet, wool is famously good at holding in heat, and I'm definitely going to need that. I do have a dry pair of socks in my bag, but I don't want to go anywhere near those at the moment because I'm keeping my feet warm in my boots, in my socks. Underneath I've got, I used to wear my ski thermals, so both trousers and a thermal top, again both merino wool, and I've got my normal walking trousers on over the top of that. I've got a t-shirt and then a merino wool jumper, and obviously then my puffer jacket over the top and my woolly hat, which is actually waterproof because there's a Gore-Tex layer in there somewhere, and also merino wool snood. So my body is really warm. I've got my normal gloves, they're skins, and I've also got some silk liners, but I've taken those off now because my hands are quite warm. What else? I've got in my bag, I've got another merino wool top, another woolly hat, some woolen mittens. What else? And my spare pair of socks. Got something to eat for both me and Fudge, and I've got drinks again for me and Fudge. So with that, let's get going. Keep the body temperature up so we don't get cold. Well, actually, that burn is actually deeper than the other one, but strangely enough, a little bit easier to cross because not so many bits of it were frozen, and I could at least see where the biggest stones were to stand on. So I don't think I got any wetter. I certainly didn't get any drier. Anyway, the walking is actually a little bit easier now because I'm in the woods, and the snow obviously hasn't been as deep, and it looks where I'm walking at the moment as if probably one of the forestry vehicles has driven over here since the biggest of the snows. So it's making for slightly easier walking. Well, I've stopped briefly just to take in the majesty of my surroundings, and there's blue sky ahead of me. That's what I'm walking towards, and although I can't quite feel the sun yet, it is actually there. It is just being blocked, of course, by the trees, and I don't want to stop for too long because every time I stop, Fudge is running around like crazy. But when we stop, oh, she's not. She was shivering earlier. She's not now, but she's been a very good girl, aren't you, my sweetie? You've been a good girl. Well, we've made reasonable progress, and we're now up at the high point of the forest, or high point for our walk at least, by the abandoned buildings, and it's such a glorious day. There is not a breath of wind, and I'm blessed by the most spectacular scenery. Over the Cairngorm mountain range there are clouds, and with a bit of luck there'll be snow clouds rolling in to dump some snow on those mountains. Still haven't managed to get skiing yet because only the two little learner slopes are open, and they're rammed. Not that they would be, we're not really interested in going up and down, up and down, up and down. We'd rather do some of the longer slopes. You know, the progress I'm making today is much slower than previously. Previously this walk's taken us about 3.5 hours. I don't know what it's going to take us today, so I will check when I finish and let you know. I've just had a phone call from Sue, who's on her way back from her mum's, to say she's got a problem. She can't get any windscreen wash, and she has topped it up. She thinks it's frozen. So she's not making the progress that she would have hoped to. So between the pair of us, you never know, we might be rendezvousing in the night rather than the day. But I tell you what, I wouldn't change this for the world. It's such a privilege to just live here, see this place through the seasons, and I know we're now starting to really understand how harsh the climate here can be. But you can't have everything, can you? You can't have spectacular beauty and a perfectly nice climate. The two don't come together. and I'd definitely forgo just nice gentle climates for this. Feeling very lucky again today. Anyway, I better put the camera down because, as you can see, in this deep snow, it's hard on the feet. Need both hands on my sticks. We decided to have a very short stop so I can give Fudge some water because she's not had a drink since we started, and I'll have a drink as well. Is that enough? Yeah, I don't know. Well, I am finally emerging from the forest. We're now going through the glen on the old logging way to Glenmore. I am probably past halfway now, but it's been very, very slow progress. Last time I looked at my watch, which was probably, hang on, I'll look now. So it's 11:45 already. And if I was doing this in the normal time, that would give me 15 minutes to get there. Maybe 20, it was at 8:35 that I left. I'm definitely not going to make that. I'll be lucky if it's an hour. I think I'm probably at least an hour and a half from here to Glenmore, so that's a significant extra amount of time due to the underfoot conditions. Well, I've now been walking for 3.5 hours. Still a long way from my final point, and normally up to this point you don't see very many people. So until a few moments ago I hadn't seen anybody. I was just past a couple of cyclists, and they've said once you get to the Rifle Bothy, there's obviously vehicles that must have been up there because the tracks just get a little bit easier underfoot. So I'm hoping that fairly soon I'll be able to actually motor on a bit quicker than I have been doing on this walk so far. Well, I had planned to stop for another drink stop at the Rifle Bothy, but as I walked round the corner I could hear voices, and when we went inside it was actually really full. And that was a bit of a surprise. I walked into the Bothy expecting to have it to myself, and there was probably about 10 people in there, obviously out walking and stopped to have their lunch. So it's a last push now for us down to the Pine Martin, hopefully in time to get some nice warm soup. Well, we made it to the Pine Martin. It was my favourite tomato and basil soup, so a nice warm coffee, a nice warm soup, whilst we waited for Sue to arrive and collect us. Look at that, Sue. Do you think Fudge is a bit tired after the walk today? Let's see, is her head peeping out from under that cushion at all?
The tail's going now.
You a bit tired, Fudgy? What's happened to that cushion? Well, we got back safely. Sue picked us up. Now, yesterday we woke up with no water at all, as you'll know. And when I got back from my walk, there was still no water. So we ended up calling out high water, and they came really quickly. I think it was really fortunate that the person who was on call was actually just down the road in Aviemore. So they came yesterday, and it meant for the first time I went down to our little water pump house. So I'm going to take you down there now and show you the way that we solved our problem, because we did. Now, once you're over the stile, it starts with a bit of a trek through the woods, and there is no proper path. Fortunately, the man who came yesterday has actually been here before, because he just has. So he knew roughly which way to go, and I'm going to head off now, see if I can retrace my steps from yesterday. So we can see we have another little stile just to get into over the fence to get to the pump house. So I don't think the video quality will be very good in here, but it's actually quite warm in here because it's got a couple of little heaters that are anti-frost devices. And I'm not going to show you the main affair, but down here behind all this insulation there is the pipe that comes up from the well in the ground, and it was just as the water comes up from the ground it had frozen. So I'll take you back outside because you probably can't see me in here at the moment. 15 minutes with a hairdryer blasting the part of the pipe where we thought the freeze had happened, and that solved the problem. So it might be that we've got a little bit of problem with there's an anti-frost heater in there which looked like it was on but wasn't kicking out much heat when we got there. But actually there's also a pipe heater in there as well. So I don't know, but between the two of them they hadn't done their job, but there was just only one little section of pipe that was frozen, which meant we couldn't actually pump any water up to the house. The other thing, and I've just in there just then, we do have company. There's a tiny little mouse that ran through, and there's evidence in there that they've been getting at the insulation, so it probably needs the insulation redoing. I don't really want to evict them because it's a nice little warm place for them, but I don't want them eating the insulation either. So if anyone's got any ideas about what I might do, or do I just live with it and change the insulation quite frequently, I might be doing that. But anyway, there you go. We now have running water in the house, which, as you can imagine, is a bonus, particularly where the toilet's concerned. Well, as you can see, we've just had our latest delivery of logs. This is another ton. All I can say is, where are Steve and Lorna when you need them? So we had our first lot delivered. Let me get a bit closer. There we go. We had our first lot delivered in, I think it was pretty much that first week we moved in, or maybe the second week. So that would have been early November, which means that's, what is it, the 14th of January today. That means our first load of logs, which was another ton, lasted us for pretty much 2 months. But we've still got half of January and obviously February to go through, and maybe it'll be a bit cooler in March. So I'm hoping, we've still got some left actually, so I'm hoping this extra ton will see us through to the end of this winter season, and then we can order another few tons for next year, and I'll order 2 tons at the same time. But now I've got to move all these logs through to the log shed, which is why I said, Steve, Lorna, you're needed. Can you pop up? When our great friends Steve and Lorna from the channel Wandering by Choice visited in early November, Lorna and Sue tackled this whilst Steve and I did an errand. Doing this by myself was pretty hard work. Okay. All right. See you later. Enjoy it. Well, last few bits now. I've been at this for probably about an hour and a half now, and if you're wondering why it's just me and Sue's not helping, she is having her first proper guitar lesson today. So I mean, I could have waited for her to get back, but I may as well get on with it. And well, it's good keeping me fit, although my back is telling me all about it now. Anyway, that's it. I've nearly done. Another ton of logs in the woodshed. Should keep us going for a while. as I sit here in my little but perfectly formed production studio, if not a little bit chaotic, on the desk that I made myself, which I'm very, very proud of, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that has watched us from the very beginning, and also welcome to all of you new subscribers. We seem to have, over the last few weeks, appealed to many more people, probably because of the move to the Scottish Highlands and some more of the lifestyle content. And I know that won't be for everybody, but I'm really, really grateful for everybody that sticks with us and watches us. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time.